I don't buy beer, so I'm like, I'm not spending money on beer. But you can buy the cheapest one. It doesn't have to be like whatever. But I also use in the little containers. I use oil, like cooking oil, and a couple of drops of soy sauce, and they love it. And they come in, but it's gross. I mean, earwigs. I had a problem with earwigs because I love dahlias and they love them too. So it was a battle. But you know what? I want it because I have beautiful dahlias. I know. And you know, the thing with them is they come out at night and they eat early in the morning. So I was out there at 5 o'clock in the morning with my flashlight because I planted those dahlias and I paid $5, up to $20 a bulb, a tuber. So I was out there at 5 o'clock in the morning with my flashlight and I put gloves on and I squeeze them. And they're like all over the leaves. So I don't know what time we start. Somebody's supposed to tell me that.
10:15.
Okay, so it's 10:15, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So my name is Maria Tapias, and I am an advanced master gardener in the Master Gardener program here at And today I'm going to talk to you ladies about bulbs. Who doesn't like tulips and hyacinth and daffodils and spring colors, right? So do any of you have bulbs? Do any of you have?
Not yet. Not yet.
So, okay, and you have an area where you can
I
plant
do,
them?
yeah.
Okay, so the first thing that you want to do is you want to find the area that you want them in. It needs to have sun. They like the sunny part of the days. And you want good soil. So how do you get your soil ready? You can buy, if you already have good topsoil, then that's fine. But if you don't, you can buy topsoil at anywhere.
Okay.
For planting soil, not planting. It's got to have soil, not mix. The mixed one has very little soil, and you want soil in it. So what I do with mine is I get my soil ready, and then I mix in some compost because I do my own composting, and then I pick my bulbs. What do I like? There are early spring bloomers, and then there's later bloomers. The tulips are the later ones, and they're out there already. So they're out there in the stores because the best time to plant them in our zone is in October.
Okay.
So you want them in, by the end of October, your bulbs should be in the ground.
Okay.
Or in pots, if you want to do them in pots. So the first one that comes up is the crocus. You know, I mean, it's still cold and snowy and they're showing up with their happy faces. The next one is hyacinth, and then daffodils, and then your tulips, depending on what variety you get, they're usually the later ones. And the same with the daffodils too. There's like early and late, different varieties of them. Now bulbs it's not just limited to this. Bulbs are also allium and cannas, which are annuals. Those you have to like pull them out, put them in again. With these, you can do that as well. I don't. Once I put my bulbs in the ground, my tulips, my hyacinth, they're there. And if they come up next year, yay, and if they don't, oh well, I planted some more. So when my soil is ready, and it's really important to pick good quality bulbs. And how can you tell the difference? So this is a good bulb. And these are a good bulb. Now there's 5 of them in here. You want to separate them because if you plant them like this, they're going to be competing for nutrients, right? So there's 5 in here. You split them. Even though they look puny, they're going to do just fine. Okay, and I'm going to pass this around so you can look at them closer. So now your soil is ready, and how deep do I plant? Okay, you want to go at least, and I have these for you ladies, I'm going to pass them out. Take one with you and keep it. I go as deep as possible because I have squirrels that love to dig them up. So the deeper you go, the colder the soil gets, the better of a bulb and the better of a bloom that you're going to get. So I have my soil, different tools. And if you have a handy husband that has a drill, you can buy that technique that has the swirly that you can disconnect it and have them do your holes for you. I don't have either one, so I have this. So you want to go, I go this deep with my daffodils and with my tulips. These guys don't need to be as deep as you can tell in your little sheet. The crocuses and the mascaris, they can be, the smaller the bulb, the shallower it can be. So now my soil is ready. I have my bulb. I dig my hole. And I like to put a little bit of fertilizer in my soil, in each one of the holes that I dig. So what I do is if I want a cluster of like, let's say 6 of them, let's say the daffodils, I make 6 holes, 1, 2, 3, all 6 of them. And what I like to do is I usually put them out where I want them, to kind of visualize where do I want my blooms to be. So I make my 6 holes, and then I put a little bit of, just sparingly, fertilizer. And there's different varieties. I'm not endorsing any of them. I'm just telling you what I buy, because I buy whatever's the cheapest that has a 4-10-10. And Fred Meyer's, I shouldn't endorse it, but they had these on sale. So a little bit of fertilizer in the soil. I mix it up. I put my bulb. Put my bulb in, nice and deep as I can get it, and cover it up. And I will water it. When all of them are planted, I water them. And I will continue watering them until the first frost. When we get that first frost, do not water them any further, because they don't like to be soggy. And it's just, you don't need to get them soaked. You just kind of want them moist. Okay. Now, if you have squirrels like I do, I buy these chicken wire pieces at any hardware store, and I cover them, and I put a couple of rocks on the edges, and they will not dig up your bulbs. They can't. Okay? Then when they start sprouting in the spring, I remove it. So when I see my growth about 1 inch tall, I remove this. But again, do not water them after the first frost. Just let them be, because they will have gone, they have to go through that cold weather for that bulb to kind of do what it needs to do. Okay? Pass this out to you ladies that came a little bit later. The other thing, so now you have your blooms, and they came up and they're beautiful, and you cut them off, and you have all this dead foliage. You have green foliage. I don't take it off. I know it doesn't look tidy in your yard. I leave it, and especially on the daffodils, because they're nice and tall and leggy. I just gather them, fold them over, and put a rubber band on them. All that foliage is nutrient to the bulb. Okay? And then once it gets all dried out, and you kind of touch it, and it feels like, oh, yeah, it's loose, you can then remove it, but not until then. And that's the same for any plant that you have that winter's over. Like all the stuff that you see here that we have in the garden, we don't deadhead any of this until later on in the spring, because all that is nutrient to the plant. Any questions?
Do you put fertilizer on your bulbs?
Good. I'm glad you asked, because I do.
On the older bulbs?
So what I do, and the ones that I have already in the ground, I do, and then what I mentioned earlier was that I take pictures. Like once I plant them, I take pictures of where I planted them, and then when they bloom, I take pictures of where they are, because that way I know, oh, I have the reds here, and I have the purples here, and I have these here, so I know what's where. Because as everything else grows, you forget where things are, and you start digging, and you're like, oh my gosh, I just sliced 3 of them. Like, what was I thinking? So, you do that. And then once these guys start sprouting, I put a little bit of fertilizer on them again. And my daughter says that it's in my head, but I feel like my tulips are hardier as a result of that. And I want to stick to that, because I believe it works.
And how many years do you feel like your tulips?
2 to 3 years. 2 to 3 years. But you know what? I think the reason that they don't is because they're crowding. I think that if you're able to split them, then you would be able to get more out of them.
Do the bulbs, once they're in the ground, are they going to start like growing more bulbs off
They
of
do.
them?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's how they go from here to here.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you would like dig them up, break them apart, and
Yeah, you should, because what happens is they're competing with each other for nutrients, and they don't. Sometimes, I don't know if you've seen them where you just get like 3 little leaves, and you're like, okay, what happened? You didn't do anything for me. And if you dig it out, it looks like that.
okay.
So if you buy some of these, split them. There's 6 of them in here.
Okay.
Well, yeah, there's 6 of them in here. Okay. And when you buy them in containers like this, they're usually really good quality ones. But if you go to a nursery and they have them like in baskets where you pick your own bulbs, make sure they're nice and dry, they're firm, they're not moldy, they're not soft. Did I pass one to you guys?
Yeah, up front here.
Okay, you want them looking like this, like nice and dry.
Okay.
I mean, this is a really good looking one. And you always plant them with the pointing up. Point up. And the butt down.
Okay.
The root. It's like the root. And some of the ones that come in these packages, you don't really, they look just like this. They don't have any of this skin on them, and you can't see the root because they've been processed in a factory or wherever they do it. So you want them to be placed like this.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions? I don't know how we're doing with time.
You got plenty. I came late, I'm sorry.
Sure.
Can the bulbs, can we plant them now? and leave
October
them
is the
sit
time to
out?
plant them. They're showing up in the stores already.
But can we leave them sit out, and if they get snow, won't that be?
No, they actually need that. They need the cold weather to
But
be
the,
able.
the water won't be too
No,
much?
no.
Okay.
So what you do is once you plant them, you water them. I fertilize mine, like I said earlier. I know you missed it. And if you stay, we can talk about it a little bit later also. But you water them after you plant them, and then you stop watering them when the first frost hits. So that's after that happens, you don't water them anymore. Yes, go ahead.
Anytime in October?
Anytime in October, they're
Okay.
showing up. You can start putting them. The nights are getting cooler.
Yeah.
But you're gonna water them until the first frost. You want to water them. You don't want to soak them. Okay, so there's a difference.
So like if you water,
Moist.
if you water in
Moist.
the yard at the same time, that's the same amount of water.
That may be a bit much. How much are you watering your lawn?
3 times a week.
How long?
It depends. Either 15, depending on if it's about 15 minutes.
That may be okay, but you may want to talk to someone about watering your lawn. That may not be enough for your lawn.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
When you put the bulb in the ground, do you have to dig it down soft enough to be?
You have clay. You have clay in your. Okay. So what you want is some nice. Yes, you do. You want to mix that. You want to mix it with like potting soil, some compost, some organic matter, something that is rich, and then
How much does it need underneath the good stuff underneath it?
well, as much as possible. As much as possible.
Oh.
Yeah. You want as much as you want. I mean, we all have clay around here, unfortunately. So you wanna get past that. So if you have
How much ground is the house part that's supposed to go?
about 6 inches, the bigger the bulb, the deeper it needs to go. So these guys don't have to be as deep. And you get one of these. It kind of shows you. It doesn't give you a number. But it kind of shows you depth-wise because you can also put them in pots. You don't have to do them. You can do pots as well. Sure. Yeah, you can do pots as well. And it's the same process.
Those are in our
Same
hands.
process.
Yeah. They need some of those.
And any of you that missed any of this, if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them at the end. Go ahead.
Once they're just ready to pull the bulb to split, you wait until the fall to put it back in the ground.
Yeah, but you know what you can do to store them? Put them in a brown bag and put them in your refrigerator.
Refrigerator. Okay.
And then you may want to label them red tulip, whatever. So you, I mean,
Yeah.
if you are a diligent gardener, sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I just want color, and because I like them all. That's kind of a problem of being a gardener, right? You like everything. I like everything. So I have some that are for sale here. I know there's some in the front as well, and these are from one of our master gardeners' yard, and they're $2, and they're mixed. I can't tell you what color they are because he just put them and he said I have no idea. So they're mixed and they're $2, and there's a good amount of them. And then if you also want some daffodils, I have some that I can give you that are from somebody's yard. So I'll
I'll take
just
one.
hand them to you. I don't have a bag or anything, but
I have a box.
these are daffodils.
Oh, thank you. You're welcome.
Do you dig up your tulips every year?
do not.
I'm just one of those gardeners that
I put it in. And I don't even do my dahlias either. I'm like, you know what? I just have no time for that. You need to bloom. You need to stay away from the earwigs, and I'd be happy. No, I don't dig things up.
And they come back? The tulips come back?
Tulips come back. Tulips
My
and daffodils
dahlias
come back.
came back.
Really?
Yes, it was like for
Wow.
2 years now.
Wow. Okay, so you have them in a great spot.
I guess so.
You do,
It's-
because
it's in my
usually-
little pollinator garden and it's close to the house, so
It might be a little warmer.
warmer. So usually
So because they usually
Yeah.
get eaten by slugs, they get rotted, and if you ever have a rotted one, you dig them up and they're like awful.
Oh, yeah. I didn't expect it to come back. It wasn't like I was planning on it. They just.
We have a gentleman he's like the president of the Dahlia Association
Uh-huh.
of Boise. You know who he is, Randy?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he does all that. He digs them up, and that's quite a process.
Yeah.
I don't have the time or the desire.
No.
No, I mean, bloom for me, and I'll be happy with you.
Yeah.
Any questions?
I don't know tulips.
Mm-mm.
So if any of you want to ask any other questions because you didn't see how we were planting, I'll be able to do it.
Because I thought you had gladiolus up too for the winter, but I haven't been, and they're just coming back every year.
You shouldn't have to pull gladiolus.
Okay.
You should be able to keep them. Yeah, yeah.
And should I be splitting them?
Yeah, I would. Yeah. You know what? If you're like concerned about am I digging them, just gonna be really careful with them and kind of find out what's going on under there and see how if there's two of them, I wouldn't split them. I would just leave them. But if you have more than 2, 3, 4, I would
I
split
grew
them.
garlic this last year. And
Do you
I don't know
think?
where we are in time.
Do you think like when it comes time to split them, is that something that you would be checking every year, or could you give them like a couple of years and
I
then
would
check
give it a
them?
couple of years.
Okay.
And a lot of times, they won't last more than like 3 years.
Okay.
So that's just
In general.
that's just the way. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.